So, we talk a lot about meds and lifestyle changes, but boundaries are the absolute hardest part of managing a chronic illness. And if you're tired of letting people drain your limited energy, this episode is probably going to be for you.
My heart's pounding. I don't know what this is.
It's the Salty Social.
Hey guys, welcome back to It's the Salty Social. I'm your host, April Holt, and today we are tackling the heavy hitter boundaries. It took me a long time to realize that boundaries, it isn't a wall to shut people out, but more of like a roadmap teaching them how to love you without wiping you out. So I want to break down how exactly to navigate those tough conversations with family and friends and how to stop the guilt from eating you alive when you just have to choose yourself. So, like, when you have a chronic illness, you already have like this very limited set amount of physical energy every day. And when we're giving it away to keep others comfortable, it leaves you paying the price later. So, like when someone is asking you to show up to an event or asking you to do something and your body just physically you can't, or that it's going to cause you to be in such a flare up after the fact, like we have to set those boundaries because we don't need, our body is already going through so much, we don't need to add on to it. And so when we find ourselves saying yes to people about showing up just because we don't want to hurt their feelings, or we don't want to make an inconvenience for them because, like I said, say they ask you to do something and it would have helped, I'm so sorry, and it would help them for you to have said yes. We have to stop trying to make everyone else comfortable. Meanwhile, we're making ourselves uncomfortable by saying yes. So setting that boundary and just learning what our limits are. And knowing, like, is it worth it? Like, is what I'm being asked to attend or what I'm being asked to do, is it worth all that it's going to put my body through? And if it doesn't feel worth it to you, then you have to set that boundary and say no, because it's about you. You are absolutely justified and allowed to choose your comfortability over someone else's. And I'm not saying that it's easy to just say no to friends and family. Like, obviously, we want to be able to show up and do things for other people, but when it comes to our health, like, we really do need to put ourselves first. And because it's for me personally, and in my opinion, I feel like boundaries is a management tool for my symptoms, because when I let people step over my boundaries that I've set, it somehow manages to find a way to set my symptoms off, whether it be because I showed up and physically, exerted myself, or because just their behavior or things that they are saying are causing me emotional distress, which me experiencing high emotion is a symptom trigger for me. And so I've had to really set some boundaries as far as that goes as well. Of just like, I cannot let this person continue to get me this kind of upset, because it's forcing me to stay in a flare up, because my mind is so focused on that. I'm so upset over this that I can't even remotely think about taking care of myself properly. And it absolutely will keep me in a flare up. And so I have very personally had to step away from some family members, kind of put some distance from us, and it's not something that I wanted to do. It just, it came to a point where I was like, it's necessary. It is necessary for me to get to do this so I can start getting to a place where I get some quality of life back. Because when I first started getting sick, I was nearly bedridden. Like, I was couldn't work, I barely left my bed, couldn't do anything. And then a lot of these things started happening with, my relationships with people, and it drained me. It drained so much of my energy that it finally got to the point where I was like, I'm not going to have any quality of life if I cannot just step away for now and focus on my health. And I'm so thankful I did it. It's been rough. It wasn't an easy choice to make, but I'm so thankful that I did it for just me personally because I'm finally getting to a point where I do feel like my symptoms are getting a little more managed. So I think it has been really beneficial to setting those boundaries for myself. Like I still do have a hard time with saying no when it comes to like being invited to places. Can't help it. When someone asks me, "Hey, you want to show up?" Of course I do, because I'm not the type of person that likes to stay at home. Like that's just not me. I've always been the on the go, 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 and so yeah, I really enjoy getting out. It kind of distracts me, gives me, a little mental break from my four walls in my home, and just it gives you a different scenery. Get to interact with people because if one thing any of you have probably learned with a chronic illness is that it can be very isolating, and so that does make it hard to say no when I'm being invited out. And it's something I'm working on because every single time that I do go and show up to something, I'm physically drained because not only am I having to exert the energy to shower if I need to, get dressed, then just to pack any medical supplies or whatever it is that I may need, my mobility, whatever I need to take with me. I've got to do all that. And then there's just, the physical exhaustion of getting there and then being there. It is so much. And every single time I've shown up, it definitely puts me in a flare and I'm straight to bed as soon as I'm done. And so learning to say no is it's been hard. It has been hard and it's I definitely have some room to improve on setting that boundary. But I think a lot of it too comes from, the guilt. I think, setting those boundaries, whether it be just saying no that you can't show up or do something, or setting some distance between a person, or cutting them off completely, whatever is your situation. I think the FOMO guilt is a lot around that, and I feel like I feel for me personally that is one thing that has made setting those boundaries so difficult for me is the FOMO guilt and just the guilt in general that I feel around those situations. So like if I don't show up to these events, like I feel like I'm missing out. I really do. I feel like I'm missing out on the time with my family or my friends or whatever. Like I feel like I'm missing out. There's also that guilt too of, well, if I'm not there, like what are they thinking of me? Like are they thinking I'm just a crappy person cuz I didn't show up? Or, like, are they talking bad about me because I am using my chronic illness as an excuse to get out of something or whatever? Like, all these guilty thoughts, or, like, especially when, like, the distancing thing, that's where a big part of my guilt comes in is how guilty I feel about setting those boundaries. Even though I know without a doubt in my mind 100% that that was a good option for me for my own well-being, I still feel so guilty for doing that because I feel like I'm hurting those people. Even though their actions and or lack of action, whatever, like whatever that reasoning was, even though what they were doing was hurting me and me stepping away was just to protect my health and my well-being, I still feel guilty because I feel like I'm hurting their feelings. I'm still in my head thinking about them and putting myself last in the situation. And that guilt's really hard to navigate, but these things have to be done. They have to be said. And they're never easy. Like when I had to set these boundaries, the conversations that I had to have and the things that I had to say, like I didn't want to say them, But, looking at a family member and being like, yeah, no, like what you're saying's not okay. I don't like the way it's making me feel, so I'm just not gonna talk to you. Like I'm stepping back. And to have to say that it's hard. Very hard. And a lot of times too, I know I've reached out or I posted and asked people to tell me like what boundaries have they set. And one of those things that did come up was saying no and feeling like you have to like go in this long spew of why you said no, this long explanation of why you said no. And really, we do not have to do that. Like, we don't have to. Because in all of this, the setting the boundaries, creating distance if you need to, like if someone truly loves you and cares about you, they don't need that prolonged explanation. They have that understanding already of why you're saying no. They know why you're not able to show up. They know what you're going through. They're going to be respectful of you because they love you and care about you. So they some someone who loves you and cares about you, they don't need that long explanation. And I know in these situations it's not always people close to us, like acquaintances and things like that. Situations like that do occur. And we don't want to just go telling our whole life story to someone who's just, hey, it was really nice meeting you, maybe we can meet up for lunch sometime. And instead of being like, no, I have a chronic illness and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. You don't have to do all that. You can just be like, thanks for the offer. I'm going to say no right now because I have health issues that make setting or making plans with people very difficult. But I would very much like to. We just have to. Even that feels too much. Like, you know what? No, no is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. If you want to say, I can't because I have a chronic illness or I have health problems, and you can just leave it at that. You can just say, my body's just not up to it today. And you can just leave it at that. You don't need this prolonged explanation of why your chronic illness makes it so hard or what you're feeling that day. No is a complete sentence. And for someone you're just acquaintances with or people that are close to you, no is a complete sentence because like I said, if someone loves you and cares about you, they understand, they know what you're going through, and so they don't need that explanation. They should already know. And if you find yourself having to tell more and they're just like, well, why? Why? Like if they're questioning you and you have to feel, if you feel like you're being forced into giving more of an explanation, then I feel like that's where maybe you need to start thinking like, hey, are they starting to step past my boundary because they're not being respectful and understanding of why I'm saying no. It feels to me like they're not understanding. And I know you got to ask questions to understand, but there's a way. You know what I mean? I know you guys know what I'm getting at. Like you can just tell when someone's refusing to be understanding or respectful of it, and they're just doing it to patronize you, or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's just setting those boundaries is just it's necessary. It is so necessary. Definitely not easy. I will not not pretend that anything that I have done as far as setting boundaries with other people has been easy. But it's not the only kind of set of boundaries that we need to make. Like we have to also set boundaries within ourselves. And so like me personally, I'm very much an overachiever. I have always been I got to do 1,000 things today. I've always been constantly on the go. I've never really been the type of person to just sit down and be still. Like it is just not me. It's never been my personality. And so that has been something very difficult for me is just trying to like be okay with the fact that I'm not going to be able to accomplish every single thing that my mind wants me to that day. I may be able to accomplish one task. I may be able to accomplish none. I may be able to accomplish 10 tasks that day. But I think setting that boundary and just knowing, okay, is today that day that I need to give myself a break, rest, and whatever needs to be done can wait till tomorrow. It can wait. It will be here later. And I'm not saying, ignore like immediately necessary things that have to be done. Like there's things in life that like there's deadlines and you have to do it. Not I'm not referencing those things. I'm talking about the laundry sitting in your laundry room right now, that basket of clothes sitting back there. When you have a closet full of clothes that you can still wear, you just want to get it out of your laundry room because it's there and it needs to be washed. I'm talking about things like that. Like, we don't have to have a perfectly tidy home. Like, I'm not saying let your house get dirty. Clean your house, obviously. Take out your trash. Worry, get the dishes clean, but like so your house is not gross. There's a difference between gross and just untidy. It's okay to let the coffee table have a little bit of clutter on it. Like I know it helps you mentally because it having a clean home helps me mentally, but just knowing and being at peace with not everything has to be done right now is a really good boundary to set or a limit to set with yourself. And it's hard for me because in all of that, we have to learn how to really pace ourselves very well. And so, like, it- you don't want to do too much. So, like, and you wake up some days and you feel great. And you're like, oh, I feel pretty good today. I feel like I can get some stuff done. And so you do those things and you still feel like, oh, well, I still feel kind of good. I can do more. But you got to know, like, okay, if I do this, if I do this first task and I still feel great afterwards, should I really do that next one that just because I'm still feeling good? Or should I just feel accomplished in what I was able to do today and not potentially push myself over that mark because that next task could be the one that overdid it for you. Like you have to stop before your body stops you. And I really, really struggle with that because there's days I wake up and I feel fantastic. I'll tell my husband, I'm like, I feel normal today. I feel like a normal me again. And you know what I do? I get up. I'll clean the entire house, everything, deep clean my house, run off to the store to do this, that. I'll do all the things. And then the very next day, I wake up and I'm bedridden. I can't get up. I can't do anything. And everything goes back to crap around my house again. Like everything starts piling up again and it's awful. It happens every time. It is such a vicious cycle, and I'm trying so hard to learn how to pace myself, but that is not an easy task. And it really is because I'm such an overachiever. I am such a have such a go-go personality, and I have gotten a little better. I will say that I've started to get better. And it really did start when I initially set those boundaries with other people. It's just setting those boundaries allowed me to start really focusing on where I needed to set my own limits and boundaries for myself, and I could really focus on my symptom management. So it allowed me to really focus on that, and I think that's why I'm actually really thankful for setting those boundaries with other people is because it's allowed me to learn my own limits and know when my body has had enough. And now my husband will tell you that I've not learned a single thing and that I'm still constantly overdoing it and pushing myself too far, which he's probably right. I definitely have some improvement nonetheless, but yeah, I think it's just really important in setting boundaries in every aspect when you have a chronic illness. It definitely makes things a lot easier. But, having these conversations, it's hard, but they're very necessary. And I think once you do it, once you set those boundaries and you actually execute these boundaries and you stick to them, and you have these difficult conversations, I feel like there is a bit of relief because the hardest part is actually doing it. But once you start seeing the benefits for your own health, you're going to be thankful for it. I mean, I know I am. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely didn't want to have to set some of the boundaries I did with people, but it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. Protecting your peace, protecting your health. But yeah, I feel like if you once you really start executing these boundaries and you really like stick to them, I feel like you're going to be really proud of yourself. You're going to see the benefits and you're going to be proud of yourself. Now, I wanted to share really quickly a few comments I had asked, like, what were some boundaries that you had set to protect your mental health or physical health? And this one says, I know it sounds like such an obvious thing to do, but I drop any friends that aren't respectful or understanding about my illness. And that is exactly what I was talking about as far as, setting those boundaries and just when someone's not being understanding or respectful of you and your chronic illness and why you're saying no, then maybe that's when you need to start thinking, is this person worth keeping around? And then another comment says, currently learning to give myself boundaries and let myself be at peace with not getting everything done every day like I feel like I should. And that's that guilt of like feeling like you're not accomplishing anything if you allow yourself to rest. And that, like I said, that's one thing that is really difficult for me. But before I let you guys go today, I just wanted to say thank you if you have made it this far in the episode. Please share, like, do all the things, anything to help get these messages out there to someone else who may need to hear them and may benefit from them. It also will mean so much to me. I also have opened up an anonymous Google form for you guys to fill out if you would like to. Completely anonymous. You don't have to put any identifying information on there. If you just want to share, maybe a topic you would like to hear discussed, or maybe some pointers you might have for me. If you would just like to tell me a story, or tell your story, or anything you just want to tell me, that is open and there for you guys. I'll have the link down below. Also, I have opened up the application if you would like to be a guest on the show. So if you feel like you kind of match our vibe and things just kind of match up and you feel like you could be a benefit to being on It's the Salty Social, there is an application open for that as well. I do want to mention that it is going to be only virtual right now just because I don't have a studio set up. So I just want you guys to kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, I would love to have someone else on. Do have a few, I do have one guest that I'm in the works with getting set up, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy that one. I'm super excited for it. But yeah, it's just, I'm so thankful for all of you listening in, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys again next Friday. Until then, stay salty, guys. Catch you later. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and be sure to follow us at It's the Salty Social on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Spotify. And be sure to check back every Friday for a new episode.